Rome, and later in the speculative religious science of the Gnostics and the Zoroastrians. As Christianity gradually exerted its dominance throughout the early part of the last millennium, it declared all faiths and practices other than itself as heretical and worthy of persecution. This culminated in the Inquisition in the mid to late 1400s, and in 1484, Pope Innocent VIII issued the Witchcraft Bull, an official papal document that stepped up the Roman Catholic Church's war against so-called witches. The bull appeared 2 years later as a preface to a book commissioned by the Pope called the Malleus Maleficarium, Hammer of the Witches. It was published as a guide to witch hunting, that is, capturing and punishing anyone the Pope considered a threat to the authority and power of the Church. Historians disagree over the number of those tortured and killed as witches over the next 400 years. The figure varies from a probable 40,000 to a very unlikely 6 million, but it was obviously far, far too many. The Catholic Church's concept of witchcraft relied on encouraging superstition and hysterical fear in the hearts and minds of the gullible, oppressed public. The accusation of witch became handy to any of those seeking to amass power and wealth, and really had anything to do with legitimate proof of any wrongdoing. But what kind of legitimate proof could it be when the charges were for holding black masses with the devil himself in attendance, for turning into an animal and flying away? The charge against witches was also a direct charge against women, because the Malleus Maleficarium declared that the powers of a witch came from carnal lust, and this was directly attributed to female sexuality. This is ironic considering the personal behaviour of the Pope who instigated this manual was quite carnal and lusty. For a start, he sired numerous children. During this long period, pagan ways went underground and were likely practiced in secret, but not necessarily in any cohesive, organised way. Some modern witches believed that Wicca, the craft of the wise, was practiced intact over 400 years to enjoy resurfacing in the mid-20th century, when new initiates such as Gerald Gardner and Dorian Valiente began to publicise the craft. According to the theory, covens such as Gardner and Valiente held the secrets of the old ways as they've been practiced for centuries. The more likely explanation, however, is the post-Gardnerian version of the craft is a reinvention with elements of the ancient reinterpreted and restructured for new generations. As much as old folk tunes are constantly rearranged for new audiences, by the way people like Gardner and Valiente set about reinstating legitimacy and acceptance of the craft by making information available about this resilient and versatile spiritual path. The Gardnerian tradition expounds ritual structure and imagery that Gardner himself sourced from Celtic spiritual traditions, Masonic ritual, Aleister Crowley OTO practices, Gnostic and Rosicrucian beliefs, and indigenous tribal shamanic practices with which he was so familiar, being a keen amateur anthropologist. In 1951, the anti-witchcraft laws of England were repealed, and Gardner and Valiente's books and presence increasingly captured the public's imagination, spearheading a revival of the old ways, not only in their native UK, but crossing their mission to the USA too. In the 60s and 70s, the flamboyant Alex Sanders and his wife Maxine were inspired by Gardner, forged their own tradition that was essentially similar, but incorporated more traditions from Kabbalah and ceremonial magic. Public witches like Sybil League wrote exposés appeared on television and radio. Wicca continued to grow, and the public gradually began to know that witches were absolutely not in league with the devil. 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 The New Age explosion of the 80s gave witchcraft more room to be heard. Influential and politically active writers and witches like Starhawk and Z Budapest, and the charismatic individuals like Ray Buckland and Scott Cunningham made more information available and palatable for a spiritually and magically hungry public. In some aspects of Western society, however, negative stereotypes lingered, with witchcraft still being treated as satanic and or fantasy. In the 90s, the door to the world of witchcraft was pushed wide open, with writers and public people like Phyllis Curott, Silver Ravenwolf, and Time Me releasing books and being active in the media. This made our presence felt on a mainstream level. At the same time, the general public's interest in magic and witchcraft exploded, stimulated by a rash of television shows like Buffy, Charmed, and Sabrina, and movies like The Craft, Practical Magic, and Harry Potter. Witchcraft is now one of the fastest growing spiritual powers in the Western world, with a strong presence in the everyday world and even stronger one on the internet. The more about witchcraft is, the more you cut it back, the more it grows. The more resistance it comes up against, the more cleverly it adapts and evolves. Anti-witchcraft law was repealed in England in 1951. Anti-witchcraft laws that originated in Europe during the Burning Times were carried over into the New World of America as well. The infamous Salem witch trials took place in the 1690s. The witches at Salem were not burned at the stake as they had been in Europe, and they were tortured to exact confessions. Only if the witches survived, they were hanged. So extreme was the hysteria in Salem that even a dog was accused and killed for being a witch. The anti-witchcraft laws were mostly overturned across the country as neo-paganism and witchcraft grew in the 50s. There are now anti-discrimination acts that make it unlawful to discriminate against a person on the basis of their religious convictions. Unlike our pagan ancestors, we do not only attempt to live in harmony with the earth, but we also see it as our duty to actively work to heal the damage done by years of neglect and seek to minimize further harm as much as possible. We approach our earth-based magic with scientific slant, embracing concepts such as quantum physics to explain psychic phenomena and to refine and enhance our sacred art of spellcasting. As widely available information exposes us to the whole of human spiritual experience, our path becomes more varied and eclectic, with aspects of other nature worshipping and polytheistic paths crossing and intertwining with ours. It is natural and inevitable that religions and spiritual practices will emerge reflecting the cultural, social, and spiritual evolution of our species for as long as we continue to inhabit this planet.
I challenge you to tell me that you've heard that on another radio station in the last, couple of months or so, or last couple of years or so. It is back from 2007, I do admit. The tune, or the piece of art there, is called Green Lights. And yes, the artiste is Fiona Horne. Now, Fiona Horne, you've released records back in 2007, and in 2010, some of your books went audio as well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did a solo album, and I've done some other stuff. I did a single, Let's Go Out Tonight. It's really quite extraordinary to get to do Death Effects again when all of us have done so many other things. I mean, Marty's got 2 kids. He's got a 3-month-old baby with his Sarah, his wife. He's got a 16-year-old son, Jesse, with Kerry, and it's just, our lives have changed. Yet we get in a room, especially with the 2 new members. I should say quickly who they are. Ant Bannister, the founding member of Clan Analog, which is an electronic, music and visual arts collective that was formed when Death Effects formed back in the early 90s, like 1990. And so we're fans of Clan Analog. So Ant Bannister is an incredible, he still has Clan Analog, he's very active in electronic music. He's an amazing programmer, amazing keyboard player, and he sounds exactly like Sean. I mean, but maybe, I don't know if I should say it, but a little bit better. He's kind of, I don't know, he's amazing. And so he's actually, rocking out, and there's a lot of substance there because he is someone that's come from that era of the 90s, and he's, there's a lot of, I feel he brings a lot of cred to the whole reforming of the band. And then we've got Wiley Cochran on guitar, who's an amazing guitarist. He's like a fusion of Blake and Dave, our 2 guitarists. And he's, I don't know, Marty and him have played in bands for ages, and they have a chemistry, and so put the 4 of us in a room, and there's just a vibe. I mean, I'm obviously excited about it. It really is a vibe. And plus, Wiley is hilarious. He tells the filthy jokes. And it's just, I don't know, I miss the Aussie humour. Living over in America, everyone's so bloody dry and takes everything so seriously over there. And that irreverent, self-deprecating Aussie humour, and Wiley's got it in spades. He's hilarious. He really is.
We should ask that question. Why did you bugger off? You know that we loved you. Was it for the
God,
surf?
when I moved to America, it was like the Aussie dollar bought 33 American cents, so I'm like broke and fucked. But it's all I don't know. It is what it is. I left my books. A couple of my witchcraft books had come out in the States. It was a bit of a vibe, and I think today I had a breakthrough. I've been here nearly 2 weeks now. We were rehearsing a lot on Skype and MP3s, emailing them back and forth and stuff, but we've been in the room together jamming this last week, and it's just every day is just more fun and makes me happy. I just think that maybe there's a lesson here of living in the moment and just not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future. And I think when you're younger, in linear years, you underestimate the value of living in the moment. And I don't know, I've decided not to worry about everything anymore and just to live in the moment and be happy. God, at the end of the day, just be happy.
For a lot of people, Death Effects, and the story, I guess, where I come from is I started broadcasting in 1990, and that was the pinnacle for you guys. So it was basically, I was looking up to you guys as a broadcaster and having great fun playing you on the air.
Thank you.
The witchcraft, because obviously that's the other side of you. And I'd love to take hours to talk about that. We don't have that.
Be another time, John, because I've got a new book coming out in September, so maybe I can come back on the show when my book's coming out. I've got my first work of fiction. I've done 9 non-fiction books on witchcraft, and I'm proud to say I was invited to speak at Harvard University on witchcraft a few years back, and I certainly have that. It's been a quarter of a century that I've been sort of out there practicing my own life, but the books have been out for 15 years. But anyway, point being is my first work of fiction is coming out, and I'm really excited about it. It's published by Allen and Unwin, who are the publishers of Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
The distributors, publishers of Harry Potter. And it's coming out in September in Australia. And it's called Witch of Summerland Mystery. It's young adult fiction. And I'm really thrilled, and I feel very privileged and blessed to have the opportunity to be published in fiction at this point in my life. It's really, I have amazing publishers and support, and I'm just really happy and excited about that. So maybe I can talk to you about that when the book comes out.
Let's make a date for September for that particular one, and let's talk about witchcraft in more detail then. Gigs start this week. This week is the national tour. It all kicks off starting at the Zoo and finishing at the Bakery.
Yeah, Brisbane, Yeah, I'm finishing at the Bakery in Perth. Mate, we don't even have time to sleep. I just got our schedule and it's nuts. I mean, we're like on stage at 11 at night, we'll get back to the hotel by 2 probably, and then we're going to be up at 4 to be at the bloody airport by 6. It's going to be nuts. Basically, I'm not going to sleep for 4 days.
Do you actually remember doing this back in the 90s, or were you just on a natural high?
I remember it. So much other stuff's happened since then. Candidly, the last 8 months have been hell in my life. So I just feel so happy, to be able to do this. It's awesome. And, again, living in the moment, I think you can always, you can always kind of try to live in the past, live in the future, but it's living in the moment's really all we have. Tomorrow's promised to no one, and yesterday's a memory, so live in the moment. That's what I say to everyone's listening, that no matter how old you are or how young you are or how anything you are, just live in the moment and be happy.
Well, you've got dinner waiting, and I'd like to personally say
I'm starving.
Best of luck for this national tour, and thanks for joining me this evening.
Thank you, John. It's lovely. Thanks for having me.
Fiona Horne, the national tour starting off at the zoo, going through to the bakery. It is a national tour after 15 years. Deaf Effects back on the road in Adelaide for the long weekend at the Governor High Marsh. And thanks also to Robert W., who was looking forward to the interview this evening. Hopefully you got a chance to hear it. I do confess we're a little bit rushed because of Fiona's stomach. Here the band is from a number of years ago, 1993, and it feels good.
A misty night, a silent night, running light of the distant stars into the kingdom of time. Through the night we rise again, lords of the gunpowder we tread, from the depths of the great embrace we point to join the trees. Unearthly rituals still in trees, secrets in the sap that bleeds, shame years through the mist. Playing us up and something like this. Deep within a maze of branches, we'll dive to the ground of rays, sand and soot and dust and dirt. At the temple of the future past, read scrolls that you will find if you can read between the lines. Enter the kingdom of time. Secrets in the loops unwind. Buried beneath, you will find the future is backward in time. Rise again, lost forgotten paths we tread from the depths of the great embrace. You never should have come this far.
As I said, the national tour starting off at the zoo through to the bakery and the Governor High Marsh on June the 10th. Thank you very much to Fiona Horne. And as she said, we'll catch up when the book's out. It sounds like a very commercial thing to do when the book's out. But this particular book will be intriguing because it will be her first work of fiction. And that's coming out in September.